Continuing from the previous episode 1250. Hee, little friend, this thing is the soul core of a third-grade Immortal Order soul beast, a ghost cat. I don't know if you can be satisfied? Yu Tianyue couldn't help laughing when he looked at Xiao Yan's surprised appearance. As we all know, after the alchemist reaches the immortal rank, the soul core of the soul beast that is required does not need to be divided into attributes. Even if the medicinal formula you need states that you need a soul core with the water attribute, and you get a soul core with the fire attribute, you can still make medicinal pills, because the immortal level pharmacist can easily neutralize the two attributes. This is one of the outstanding features of the immortal rank alchemist. Fast, give the things directly to Xiao Yan. The next moment, Yu Tianyue laughed. Yu Ran nodded slightly, then slowly paced to Xiao Yan's side. Sir Xiao Yan, this is the soul core of the third-grade immortal rank soul beast. It belongs to you from now on. Yu Ran's sweet voice echoed in the hall. Xiao Yan's soul power has reached the fairyland now, and Yu Ran is also willing to be called an adult by the arrogant and arrogant Yu Ran. Thank you. Xiao Yan was not the one who hesitated and took the silver box directly. Wang Om! Just after taking over the silver box, his keen soul force immediately probed it away. After all, he couldn't listen to other people's one-sided words. It's better to check this kind of thing in person. This guy is quite attentive. As an old fox, Yu Tianyue naturally noticed Xiao Yan's actions easily, but he didn't say much. After all, real gold is not afraid of fire. Such strong fluctuations are indeed the soul core of the third-rank Immortal Order soul beast. After a while, a bright smile appeared on Xiao Yan's face. Hee, since the reward has been received, Xiao Yu should go down to rest today. Tomorrow at noon, we will enter the space formation and start repairing. Yu Tianyue said. Yes. Xiao Yan nodded lightly, and then slowly rested under the leadership of the guards. Xiao Yan knew that the reason why Yu Tianyue gave him the reward first was because he was afraid that he would not be able to do his best. Now that Xiao Yan has received the reward, he would naturally try his best to help them. You too, go down and rest too. After we enter the space teleportation formation, remember to keep an eye on the people who are staring at Q Jai, they seem to be a little off. Yu Tianyue explained. Yes. The two girls nodded lightly. One day is fleeting, when the scorching sun hangs high on the second day, it symbolizes the arrival of noon. Are everyone here? Yuzong's backyard, in a quiet bamboo forest, the figure of Yu Tianyue stood in front of him and asked. Apart from Xiao Yan himself and the sect master of the Rain sect, there were also many powerful figures present. When Yu Tianyu's voice just fell, a figure in white robe slowly appeared in front of everyone, and his eyes scanned the crowd lightly. Old Master Yuzong Great Elder, Rain Curtain. This time I and the sect master will lead everyone to enter. In the space formation. Remember, you must follow us when you enter this time, otherwise, once you get lost in it, I am afraid that the 3-star fighting immortal powerhouse will have a narrow life. Everyone heard the words and nodded lightly. They knew in their hearts that this trip was extremely dangerous, and Q Jai was staring at them in the dark, so they could only send the elders and the sect masters, plus some strong people with good strength to go, and the rest strength, of course, is to prevent withered leaves. Elder, let's do it. Yu Tianyue didn't waste too much time seeing that everyone had arrived. Great Elder Yu Mu nodded slightly, and then with Yu Tianyue, there was no expression on the indifferent face, and a tyrannical force on his hands slowly condensed in front of everyone. The strength of this sect master Yu is also ranked first in Yi Cheng. The strength of this great elder should only be weaker than him. Xiao Yan said in his heart. Tear! At the moment Xiao Yan was thinking, in front of everyone, a silver space gate was also completely stabilized. Let's go. Yu Tianyue looked at the silver space gate in front of him. The corners of his mouth wriggled slightly. Then he waved his hand and stepped into the space gate first, and disappeared in the blink of an eye, followed by Xiao Yan and the others. Boom boom boom. A tingling terrifying aura slowly appeared. With such terrifying spatial fluctuations, the people outside the bamboo forest, a total of 10 people, all came to the space formation. Everyone just came to the space formation, and suddenly a deep silver power filled the surroundings, giving them a very tyrannical oppression. And when the figure of the last person appeared in the space formation, Yu Tianyu's indifferent face had a slight smile. I'm afraid it will take several days to repair the space formation. During this period, I should pay more attention. I always feel that something is wrong. Yu Tianyue Ju Gao glanced around and then said to the crowd. Well, several other people also knew the importance of this matter, and they did not dare to neglect and said slowly. Everyone stood in the space formation, and suddenly felt a burst of space power that contained the power of destruction, and even a rather hot breath was blowing towards them. At this time, in Xiaoyan's body, the power of the holy flame and the core of the bucket continued to rotate, exuding a trace of tyrannical power, dissipating the power of space that was trying to attack Xiaoyan. The so-called space formation is a powerful force above the 5-star fighting immortal. With the ability to mobilize the power of space, a space is torn out. This space can make people easily shuttle between cities of various sizes, quite a lot. Convenience. However, the space teleportation array also has its drawbacks, that is, every once in a while, the powerhouse must be regularly maintained by the 5-star Do Xian or above, otherwise once those space forces become disordered, the space teleportation array will not work. Then there are moving tools, thus becoming a train to hell. This is that the power of the unstable space. Xiaoyan grabbed it casually, and suddenly caught a faint silver light in this void. The silver light contained extremely terrifying power. There is even a hint of heat. This is just the outermost space power. What we need to do is to go to the core of the space formation and repair the damaged area. The power of space there is extremely violent. Compared with this place, it is undoubtedly more than 100 times more tyrannical. The Elder of the Rain Screen is currently staring at a place where the silver light is extremely bright, and slowly opens his mouth. Hearing this, everyone nodded, because they all knew that the power of this space was enough to easily obliterate the 5-star fighting immortal. If it weren't for the power of the soul, which happened to be its nemesis, I'm afraid they would have the guts to enter it rashly. Come with me, don't be scattered. This power of space is extremely unstable and its forms are changeable. If it is involved, I'm afraid you can't imagine the consequences. Construction started. After a short while, Yu Tianyu's figure moved and suddenly went to the place where the silver light was shining brightly. That place was the core of the space formation and the place where the power of space was most concentrated. End of this chapter. Continuing from the previous episode 1251. The overall area of the space teleportation formation is probably the size of Xiaoyan on the Do-Chi continent, as large as the space torn apart by the ancient Soul Realm. This point, just from Xiaoyan's flight for a quarter of an hour, they still haven't gotten close to that silver dazzling light. At first Xiaoyan felt that the silver light spot was the core of the space formation, but after flying for a long time, it didn't get too close, which gave Xiaoyan a new understanding of this space teleportation formation. However, after flying for a long time, Xiaoyan and everyone felt that a rather tyrannical oppression suddenly filled his body. Little friend Xiaoyan, Yu Tianyue said to Xiaoyan as if he had sensed the oppression of the power of space. Of the 10 people here, only he and the Great Elder are 3-star fighting immortals, and most of the others are only 2-star fighting immortals. Naturally, it is quite difficult to resist such a tyrannical space force in this space formation. I know. Hearing this, Xiaoyan frowned, and then a steady stream of dazzling soul power emerged, and then covered everyone's bodies. Hoo-hoo, it finally feels better. Thank you, Sir Xiaoyan. After Xiaoyan released his soul power, several other figures who were uncomfortable also signaled to Xiaoyan. Everyone, be careful, this space power seems to be undergoing some kind of special mutation. Just as Xiaoyan released his soul power, he suddenly smelled an extremely dangerous aura from the Silver Light group not far away. This guy does have a second chance. The originally indifferent Great Elder Rain Curtain was originally dissatisfied with the fact that the Sect Master did not hesitate to take out the 3rd rank Immortal rank Soul Core as a reward, but now after seeing Xiaoyan's dazzling soul power, is also dumb. Everyone nodded and continued to move forward. After a quarter of an hour, Xiaoyan had exerted a considerable amount of soul power on everyone else's body to protect their bodies. On the other hand, Yu Tianyue and the Great Elder had no resistance at all. The 3-star fighting immortal powerhouse is indeed well deserved. It's almost there, and this feeling only lasted for half a moment. At noon, everyone slowly came to the place of Silver Light. In this Silver Light group, the core of the space formation is impressively located. I will enter it to repair it in a while, and the First Elder, Xiao Yan, and other people will be responsible for intercepting the power of space outside. We can't let the power of space approach the Silver Light Group, otherwise we will only give up our previous efforts this time. Yu Tianyue said in a deep voice. Repairing the space teleportation formation is not only related to the interests of their Rain Sect, but also to the ratio of whether some of their Rain Sect's talents can participate in Dongzhou, so Yu Tianyue is naturally very attentive. Sect Master Yu, don't worry, since I promised you, then I, Xiao Yan, will naturally not hide it. Xiao Yan said, it's so good, I'll go. Yu Tianyue didn't hesitate, his figure swept away, and went directly into the Silver Light Group to start repairing. And Yu Tianyue just poured into the Silver Light Group, and suddenly this silver space suddenly shook, and a terrifying space force that made everyone feel restless slowly radiated. ZZ, the power of silver space with a size of 100 meters, directly transformed into thunder, shot at the remaining 9 people suddenly. Its speed is fast, and its attack is strong. I am afraid that the ordinary 2-star fighting immortals the strong in the early and mid-term will be seriously injured in an instant. Presumptuous. Seeing this scene, the great Elder Rain Curtain suddenly raised his breath, and then burst out with a loud shout, and a dazzling silver grudge entwined directly. Tisk tisk. The thunder attribute fighting chi in the middle stage of Samsung Do Xian. The strength of this great elder is also extremely terrifying. Xiao Yan couldn't help but muttered as he watched the great elder easily decipher the power of space. After all, among all the attributes, the thunder element is undoubtedly one of the most destructive attributes. Just after Xiao Yan finished speaking, his dazzling soul power sensed a bad premonition, and hurriedly raised his head to look above the void. It was an extremely dazzling white light group. The white light group just appeared. It gave everyone an extremely tyrannical sense of oppression, and there seemed to be some tyrannical creatures hidden in the light group. What is that? Some figures couldn't help but say, after all, they were also the elites of the Rain Sect, so they didn't panic. This is. But the next moment, after seeing the dazzling white light in the pupils of the great Elder Rain Curtain, he couldn't help shrinking tightly. Little friend Xiao Yan, use your soul power to break him. The elder said suddenly and hastily. Soul power, break it for me. Hearing the words of the first elder, Xiao Yan also realized something, and then he immediately attacked with a dazzling soul. Boom! As Xiao Yan made such a move, the dazzling white light group slowly disintegrated, forming a giant object that caught everyone's sight. Guru! A deafening roar suddenly emerged from the shattered ball of light. What caught everyone's sight was a giant dragon of 1,000 feet covered with silver rays of light. The dragon's body is silver as a whole, and the silver scales protect it tightly. Through the silver scales, it seems to be filled with an unusually terrifying power. That power is nothing but the power of space, and at this time the silver 1,000-foot dragon just appeared, and it immediately gave that heavy feeling to all the people present. This guy hasn't woken up yet? Just when everyone was surprised, Xiao Yan said slowly, because of Xiao Yan's huge soul power, he discovered that the pupils of this giant dragon were actually closed, and although the aura was tyrannical, but if he fell asleep, I'm afraid it wouldn't be too much trouble. Pimple. But the good times didn't last long. The next moment, following the attack of Xiao Yan's original dazzling soul power, the huge dragon's eyes of the silver 1,000-foot dragon slowly opened, and then faced the person in front of him. Xiao Yan! Everyone shouted loudly. Ah! 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 Everyone was disturbed by the roar of the giant dragon at such a close distance. If it wasn't for Xiao Yan's soul protection, I'm afraid that just such a roar would have driven them away. This guy. The target doesn't seem to be us? Some figures in the crowd couldn't help but say. Gululu. The silver giant dragon just woke up, and after roaring, it had no plans to attack Xiao Yan and his party. This guy is actually the product of the power of disordered space. It seems that the space teleportation formation is not being repaired. I'm afraid this place will become the hatchery of this monster. The first Elder Rain Curtain opened his mouth slightly, and his voice was full of chills. No. This guy wants to directly attack the core of the formation. The core of the formation has been completely destroyed, and this guy will have a new life. Absolutely can't let it destroy the core of the formation. Let's do it together. The next moment, the silver dragon twisted its huge body, and the dragon tail swayed directly towards the core of the formation. It carried such tyrannical power, no doubt, if it hit the formation, the core of the law, I am afraid it will be instantly obliterated. Go! I will solve the oppression of you by the power of space. Xiao Yan snorted coldly, and more powerful soul power emerged directly, and then covered the crowd. Continuing from the previous episode 1252. Along with everyone taking action, a terrifying scene was also staged in the void of the silver space teleportation formation. This *** beast, although Xiao Yan's soul attack just now destroyed its spiritual intelligence, its own strength cannot be underestimated. Even if it does not have spiritual intelligence, the terrifying power alone is enough for us to deal with. The Great Elder Rain Curtain issued several tyrannical attacks in a row, but after hitting the silver scales on the silver dragon, it was easily resolved. This guy's defense is too strong, and its attack is the power of space. The special energy of space power can only be resisted with the power of the soul. Otherwise, using other powers to resist is tantamount to hitting a stone with an egg. However, if I continue to squander like this, even my fairyland-level soul power won't last long. Xiao Yan stood behind the crowd, and tyrannical power continued to emerge, and every attack from the silver dragon would be met with it was offset by Xiao Yan's soul power. Elder, what should we do now? This beast is too strong. The other strong men also asked in confusion. Obviously, if this continues, once they are exhausted by the silver dragon, they will fail sooner or later. After all, this silver dragon is formed by the power of space, and this is his home ground. No matter how much power of space he consumes, he will absorb and replenish it in the space teleportation formation in an instant. This guy should be a mutant energy body produced by the gathering of unstable space forces in the formation space. It seems that this guy is indeed a trouble. Let's form an array. Yumu pondered for a while, and then spoke slowly. Okay. When the other 7 experts heard the words, they all felt a little bit in their hearts, and then their figures instantly retracted and came to the Great Elder, as if they were preparing something. These guys. Naturally, Xiao Yan wouldn't take the initiative, he just kept using his soul power to protect them. After all, the agreement with Yu Tianyue was the same. Thunderstorm cage. The next moment, the voice of the Great Elder Rain Curtain was like a judgment, and it slowly sounded in this void. This is. What a profound way of imprisoning, and the power of imprisonment carries the power of thunder to paralyze the enemy. Hearing this voice, Xiao Yan couldn't help being shocked. Under the guidance of the Soul Eater, Xiao Yan still knew a little bit about these things. Thunderstorm cage. This formation has an extremely tyrannical confinement power, but it also has its fatal flaws. It takes too much vindictive energy. Although this level of formation is powerful, it is extremely troublesome to use, and it is impossible to use one person alone. Boom! The 8 people headed by the Great Elder Rain Curtain slowly stood in a row, and on the 8 people, an identical silver thunder slowly flowed out from their bodies, and then converged on the Great Elder Rain Curtain's body. Thunderstorm cage, imprison me. The Great Elder grasped the extremely terrifying power of silver thunder, and immediately shouted, and all the power was thrown away viciously at the silver dragon in the void. This formation was obviously prepared by them for a long time and was specially used to deal with this guy. As soon as the power came out, the silver dragon became restless. Wing Om. The light group where the silver giant dragon was just now is undoubtedly slowly mutating. If it takes some time, I am afraid it will really condense spiritual wisdom, but it is fortunate that Xiao Yan cracked it in time. Cuckoo. The silver dragon, relying on its instinct, smelled a tyrannical breath from the silver thunder net, and couldn't help but let out a roar, which seemed to be the roar of the elders trying to provoke it. Generally, Shabu. Although the silver dragon did not condense wisdom, its body was condensed by the power of space. It sensed that the silver thunderbolt of the elder had turned into a sky full of thunder, and immediately roared. Its huge the body suddenly coiled up under the eyes of everyone. Even after the huge body was coiled up, the space at the silver dragon wiggled slightly, and the next moment it disappeared directly from everyone's sight. No, this guy wants to use the power of space to escape our attack. One of the 8 people in charge of condensing the lightning net cage, a man with vicious eyes, said. Damn, it's still a step too slow. Although Xiao Yan had already realized that the silver giant dragon was not easy, who would have thought that the guy would be able to use the power of space to shuttle, and the dazzling soul force just wanted to interrupt the space of the silver giant dragon shuttle, but in the end still a step slower. Don't panic. Stable the transmission of Do Qi. We have Xiao Yan, it's fine. Seeing the people in charge of the formation were slightly uneasy, the elder directly interrupted their fearful thoughts. Okay. The other 7 people closed their eyes when they heard the words, and the dazzling fighting qi directly urged them to go out into the body of the great elder. It is strange to say that these people have different attributes, and they have everything in water, fire and soil, but when the fighting qi was injected into the body of the great elder, the power of thunder that swallowed up was actually transformed into silver. The secret, I am afraid only the Elder One knows. Elder, taking advantage of this guy's lack of condensed intelligence, the next time this guy shows up, I will directly strike the soul to attack, so that your attack will continue, and then we will be able to completely obliterate it. Xiao Yan said gloomily, no way, this silver dragon's aura is too strong. And with the delay of time, Xiao Yan and the others' soul power and fighting qi continued to be consumed, but the aura of the silver dragon did not decrease but instead increased. And once they are defeated, I am afraid that the space formation will not be able to repair successfully. The space formation cannot be repaired successfully. Xiao Yan's East Continent ratio is also nonsense. Okay, everything depends on Xiao Yan's little friend. At this time, the first elder was also difficult to ride a tiger. On the one hand, he had to maintain his own lightning net cage, and on the other hand, he had to take care of other sect elites who sent vindictive energy to him. Cuckoo. After a while, the space was wriggling in the opposite place to the disappearance of the silver dragon just now, and in the wriggling space, a huge head slowly protruded. Longmu stared at everyone present, except for Xiao Yan. Even the big elder rain curtain is powerful as the middle stage of the 3-star fighting immortal. However, Xiao Yan, relying on his tyrannical soul power, did not feel this way. Break it for me, you Ming Tian trance. The next moment, Xiao Yan shouted directly, and the dazzling soul power turned into a strange cry, which slowly reverberated in this space. Boom boom boom. At the same time, being so startled by Xiao Yan, the first elder was also the first to wake up, and the thunder net that filled the sky roared directly at the silver dragon. Soul power and the extremely tyrannical lightning net of binding force. No matter how tyrannical this silver dragon is, I am afraid it will inevitably fall. Wonderland soul power? After Xiao Yan launched this tyrannical soul attack, in the space formation, in a rather hidden space, a man in black muttered, and it was hidden in black robes. The pupil below also became hot. Continuing from the previous episode 1253. Sir, you are. This hidden space in the space formation is extremely hidden. The 5 people in Yihang Courtyard in the narrow and hungry space are not weak, even the most powerful ones. The weak ones have reached the strength of the 2-star Do Xian, and the strongest is Yi Ku in the late 3-star Do Xian. This group of people is impressively the people of Kuyajai. The space here is set up just after they mastered the space teleportation formation. The small space is enough to accommodate 10 people, but the people of Yuzhong are completely unaware of it. The fluctuation of the soul on this kid is extremely terrifying, and it has reached the fairyland. The man in black said, and his voice was filled with extremely hot fluctuations. His purpose is to collect souls. And the so-called soul body, to a certain extent, is the soul power separated from the body. Therefore, the strength of the soul power determines the strength of the soul body. Wonderland soul power? Yi Ku on the side couldn't help frowning when he heard the words. Obviously, although he was not a pharmacist and had never practiced soul power, he still heard about soul power. If it is only based on the soul power, the powerhouse of the fairyland soul power is no weaker than a 3-star fighting immortal powerhouse. Even under certain coincidences, the 3-star fighting immortal powerhouse will be seriously injured by the fairyland soul powerhouse. This is the most terrifying place. This kid. I want it. I don't care about the rest. After the man in black finished speaking, he calmed down and waited for the opportunity to do something. Fuck, this bastard. If it wasn't for you from that power, I'm afraid the master of this restaurant would slap you to death. This Xiao Yan is the murderer who harmed my son. I still want him to die. But Yi Ku, although extremely unhappy in his heart, didn't show it. After all, the power behind this black-clothed man can only be said in a single sentence. Let them be removed from the ghost world, unless Btth2 doesn't want to mix, or give him 100 courage, and don't dare to provoke them. Kuyajai's group of 5 slowly stood in the dark passage. Once the space teleportation formation was successfully repaired, they would take action without any need. Boom! The battle in the space formation continued. Wang Om! Xiaoyan's soul attack directly seriously injured the Silver Dragon, and then added the Great Elder's lightning net cage, and the Silver Dragon was imprisoned immediately. Although the Silver Dragon is tyrannical, it has no intelligence. It is like a child who has just been born but controls enormous power. Regardless of its tyrannical strength and lack of intelligence control, it is also vulnerable to the joint efforts of Xiaoyan and several others. At this time, the Silver Dragon was constantly lingering with the power of silver space, exuding an extremely dangerous atmosphere, but outside it, layers of airtight lightning nets tightly imprisoned it. Looking at the appearance, it is impossible to break free in a short time. I didn't expect Xiaoyan to reach the soul of the fairyland at such a young age. It really makes the old man ashamed. Seeing the Silver Dragon being subdued, the first elder Yumu couldn't help but apologize together. Originally, I thought that it would be too expensive to dispatch a third-grade soul core of the immortal rank to hire a hairy boy, but now, after seeing Xiaoyan's combat power, Yumu felt that it was worth it. It seemed simple just now, but if it wasn't for Xiaoyan's soul power attack that seriously injured the Silver Dragon, I'm afraid that they would not necessarily be able to bind the Silver Dragon. The power of space on the Silver Giant Dragon is really disordered. Xiaoyan felt the power of space on the Silver Giant Dragon, and even faintly made his scalp feel numb. Young friend Xiaoyan, rest assured, this Silver Giant Dragon is a mutant energy body of the power of space. As long as the Sect Master repairs the core of the formation, then this guy will disappear. The elder said with a smile. Xiaoyan nodded lightly, but he didn't have the consciousness to stop, but moved towards the bound Silver Dragon. Everyone is responsible for vigilance. Although this Silver Dragon is a collection of space power, it is inevitable that some missing space power will attack the core of the formation, so you can't relax your vigilance. The elder said solemnly. Yes! When the other people heard the words, their bosses opened their eyes and focused on the changes in the formation space. Xiaoyan was in charge of the defense of soul power. Naturally he was not as vigilant as others, but walked gently to the Silver Giant Dragon, as if he had some plans. The power of space on this guy is disordered, but it can only be used by 5-star fighting immortals. What if I absorb it? Xiaoyan laughed slowly, and then there was a trace of fiery red on his finger. The flame slowly came out, and the next moment, it shot directly at the Silver Dragon. Wang Om! The fiery red flame easily penetrated the power of imprisonment of the Thundernet, and then came to the skin of the Silver Dragon, leaving the shackles of the lightning net. I hope it's all right. The flame returned to Xiaoyan's hands with the chaotic power of space. From such a close distance, Xiaoyan could clearly feel the enormous power contained in the power of space. Tu Duhei, Fenju and Shengyan, if this method is feasible. Humph. If you want to die, just swallow it. And just when Xiaoyan's heart was moving, a basin of cold water from the Master of Soul Eater directly drowned out the fiery thoughts in Xiaoyan's heart. Master? Xiaoyan finally calmed down, and then spoke slightly. The power of space is an extremely rare thing. Only after the strength reaches the 5-star Do Xian, can a little bit be born, and then the Do Formation Master can be greatly mobilized. And the particularity of this power proves that it cannot be swallowed. Even if you have several kinds of treasures in your body, if you swallow it directly, you will probably end up in one explosion and die, said Soul Eater. Bang bang bang. When the Master Soul Eater's voice just fell, the silver space power in Xiaoyan's hand burst out with a violent aura, and then suddenly exploded in front of Xiaoyan. I rely on it. Thanks to Xiaoyan's quick eyes and quick hands, he directly threw the power of space out. Do you know now? The power of space is not in a hurry. When your strength reaches a 4-star Do Emperor, you may be able to try it. With your status as a Do Formation Master, your combat power will probably increase dramatically. The Soul Eater said with a smile. Well, then let's wait. Xiaoyan nodded lightly, and had no other thoughts. Be careful, there seems to be some other aura in this formation space. That aura is a bit like a person from the Ghost Kingdom, or even a person from the Soul Clan in your words. The voice of the Lord of Soul Eater. He opened his mouth slowly. Continuing from the previous episode 1254. Fifth brother. Looking at the fifth elder who was swallowed by the khaki flame dragon, Yi Yunqing next to him couldn't help but let out a loud cry. As the third elder of Qi Jai, he had a good relationship with the fifth elder since he was a child. Seeing the fifth elder whose vitality was passing quickly, he couldn't help shouting. Boom! Without any hesitation, the khaki flame dragon opened its ferocious mouth and bit the body of the fifth elder in one bite, thus making the fifth elder unable to defend against such a terrifying flame. And the vitality passed quickly, only a few for a moment. These 5 elders were lying in the space like dead dogs, their breaths were almost wilted, and they were obviously dead. If it were someone else, I am afraid that Xiao Yan would not be so easily obliterated, but these 5 elders are actually fire attributes. Sheng Yan is the deity of 10,000 fires. When Xiao Yan used Sheng Yan, the fire attribute fighting Qi in the 5th elder was completely suppressed and could not be mobilized in the slightest. Therefore, even if the 5th elder was a late-stage 2-star Do Xian, his strength was stronger than Xiao Yan's. A lot, but still lost. Destroy me. Naturally, Xiao Yan wouldn't raise tigers. The next moment, a dazzling khaki flame emerged, and then directly under Yi Yunqing's cannibalistic gaze, he burned the 5th elder's body into nothingness. The bodies and even the souls of these 5 elders completely fell under Xiao Yan's holy flame. After all, cutting grass does not remove its roots, but the spring breeze blows and regenerates. Little chops, I definitely want you to die. Xiao Yan's actions like this were undoubtedly declaring war with the entire Qi Jai people, but at this time, Xiao Yan had no other choice. After all, according to his master, the master of Soul Eater, it is very likely that there are strong souls here, and in order to avoid future troubles, Xiao Yan can only completely burn the body and soul of the 5th elder. Bang bang bang! Yi Yunqing roared angrily, and then the cyan vindictive energy, directly centered on himself, slowly spread toward the surroundings. Peefed! With a sound, the 2-star fighting immortals who were in charge of stopping Yi Yunqing seemed to have reached their limit. The rest, leave it to me. Xiao Yan easily caught the crowd, then sent a gentle force away, and said, Lord Xiao Yan, this guy is very strong. Upon seeing this, the 2-star fighting immortals expressed their gratitude to Xiao Yan. Seeing Xiao Yan obliterating the 5 elders of the late 2-star fighting immortal stage, these guys also believed in Xiao Yan. After all, strength is the best right to speak. I know, you can rest in peace. Xiao Yan smiled and walked straight to Yi Yunqing. Little bastard, do you still have the courage to come over? I have to say, it's the first time I've seen you just because of your courage. Yi Yunqing's face was almost contorted, his eyes staring fiercely at Xiao Yan. I also saw a shameless guy like you once. Xiao Yan said indifferently, although this guy is in the early stage of 3-star Do Xian, and he is still in the early stage of 2-star Do Xian, if it is a real life and death battle, I am afraid that he is not afraid at all. Boy, let's do it. Don't worry, I won't kill you easily. In that case, 9 will be cheap for you. I'll let you taste what despair is. I will let you know that offending our Kuyajai will be something you will regret for the rest of your life. Ha ha ha! Yi Yunqing growled angrily like a lunatic. It's really a lunatic, but I like this kind of opponent. Xiao Yan laughed, his eyes became serious, the fighting core and burning Ju in his body were running at a high speed, and his intuition told Xiao Yan that although this Yi Yunqing was proud, he was not alone. The real strength of the 3-star Do Xian in the early stage was there, and Xiao Yan's pressure was not small. However, pressure is also a driving force. Xiao Yan believes that if this time is successful, I am afraid that his future path will be much easier. Bring it on, Water Dragon Gang! Yi Yunqing spoke first. As the voice fell, the space of the formation was suddenly filled with a huge repulsive force, which slowly impacted every inch of Xiao Yan's skin. Damn, what a tyrannical pressure. Xiao Yan couldn't help but summon the earthy yellow holy flame to wrap himself in an attempt to reduce some of the pressure. This Yi Yunqing is actually a water attribute. Although the water attribute is gentle, in the hands of the strong, even the earth attribute and some useless attributes, which are known for defense, can radiate extremely destructive power. Ho ho ho! The next moment, 100-Jong water dragon made up of dark blue water attributes appeared directly in front of Xiao Yan. On the water dragon, the dark blue Do Chi slowly flowed, bringing an extremely tyrannical pressure to Xiao Yan, and beside the water dragon, there was actually a water column wrapped around it to protect it. These water pillars protect the water dragons firmly. Even if Xiao Yan makes a move, I am afraid he can only destroy some of them. If he wants to destroy all of them, it is undoubtedly too difficult. Water overcomes fire, and it's still an absolute gap in strength, a step away. The suppression is too strong. If this goes on, there will be no fighting. Xiao Yan moved his body quickly while thinking about how to deal with it. I'm afraid that this kind of oppression can only be eliminated by using the power of Huoxin Tianyan and Do Sol at the same time. After a while, Xiao Yan had a plan in his heart. The mutual restraint of attributes is naturally one of the keys to effecting the battle, not to mention that the strength gap is still so obvious. Now only use the holy flame to add the power of the fighting core to improve the purity of your own flame, so as to eliminate this restraint. After all, restraint, although there are, but under certain conditions, it will be eliminated to the point of being negligible. Since he came to the ghost world and learned about the situation in the ghost world, Xiao Yan seldom used the ghost face and soul flame, mainly because the ghost world can only swallow 2 holy flames, and the ghost face soul flame is one of them. If Xiao Yan was exposed, he would be asking for trouble. Ha ha ha, boy, just run like a lost dog. When I get tired of playing, it will be your death. Yi Yunqing didn't seem to notice Xiao Yan's actions, but just controlled the water dragon to continuously launch tyrannical attacks, constantly forcing Xiao Yan to retreat. Damn it! Yi Ku's face became ugly when he saw the 5th elder being obliterated by Xiao Yan. A powerhouse in the late 2-star fighting immortal stage, this is the backbone of a family's power, but was actually wiped out by a hairy boy in the early 2-star fighting immortal stage, which made Yi Ku a little puzzled. Yi Ku, it seems that this time, God will not help you. Seeing this, Yu Tianyue smiled slowly. Obviously Xiao Yan wiped out the 5 elders of the late 2-star fighting immortal. This is something Yu Tianyue did not expect. This Xiao Yan's soul power, the strength is tyrannical, and even the combat power of fighting Qi is extremely terrifying. You'd better take care of yourself first. After a little deep voice, the two started a terrifying confrontation in Dudu. The two shot, both gloomy and vicious, but there was still no winner for a long time. The 5th elder of Kuyejai has fallen. It seems that this time, you have miscalculated. Yumu said while dealing with Yi Shuang's attack. That's not necessarily the case, no matter what. This time, your Yuzong is a mortal situation. At best, it's just the difference between our Kuyejai people dying a little more and dying a little less. Yi Shuang responded, Really? After the conversation between the two ended, a fierce attack broke out in Zaidu. Are all the people in Kuyejai stupid? But that's fine, I can collect a few more souls, although the soul power is too weak, but the strength is tyrannical, and after taking it back, I may not be able to help us in the Soul Clan. Do something, the figure hidden in the dark said slowly. Hey, old guy, I'll let you chatter for a while. Xiao Yan was still thinking while running, but inside his body, a shocking wave of terror was slowly rising with an astonishing aura.